basically mimicking the Uber hack, which was exactly what you're talking about, MFA fatigue. People were spamming MFA requests in Uber and waited for someone to hit OK. We use the Microsoft MFA as well, but our answer is the typical IT answer, is how do you prevent the MFA fatigue? It's like, it depends on what they're accessing. So we have multiple sections where, like, for instance, will allow, like, for certain things, like 14 days that they don't have to reauth and they don't have to redo their authentication token. But we're also implementing a new SharePoint site where if you're idle for an hour, it's going to challenge you with MFA to log in again. So really, I know the tools are available on those conditional access policies that you can set that MFA policy to say, here's your base policy, which is, if there's no other policies in place, challenge every X. But yeah, I guess it's situational for us, at least, depending on how critical or secure we want that particular access to be kind of controlled.
Right. So you're tagging your data as like critical data or non-critical.
Well, it's not necessarily the data itself right now. We're actually more the conditional access. We're doing it right now, like on a site level or the application itself. So we'll create that conditional policy on a specific either URL or specific area in SharePoint. That's how we're starting, at least. We're hopefully in the next few months moving into DLP with data classification, and then that'll be the next step that we kind of take with our MFA.
You're pretty much about where we are right now as well. Prior to doing that, though, we did have a lot of issues with MFA fatigue, where people would just accept because they were getting them every 3 days and getting a lot of them. And
what we're doing these days we have a security analyst, and he's trying to find ways for us to test basically mimicking the Uber hack, which was exactly what you're talking about, MFA fatigue. People were spamming MFA requests in Uber and waited for someone to hit OK. So we're actually going to try and mimic that and teach people, because that's a people problem. I think no matter what, as soon as someone finds a way to spam MFA, they're going to do it. And then they're waiting for someone to hit OK.
Yeah, I guess my question on a similar vein is, do you have any additional items in your conditional access policies that circumvent or don't require MFA as a prompt if it's a trusted device, if it's domain joined, if it's on your, sitting on your network in one of your facilities, or do you push it regardless of any of those conditions, in particular for the Office 365 apps?
So for us, we do, is it domain joined? Is it from a location that's known, previous, and we evaluate that out, and a lot of times we won't MFA them. Even we don't MFA them at all if they're internal on our internal network, but if they're external and they're coming from a known location, domain joined, we might not even MFA them then.
So we're similar, but we are only if you're in one of our office locations and you have a compliant domain joined device, no MFA. The second you leave our office, you will be challenged 100%. And then the other kind of caveat there, even though we do have VPN, we're split tunnels. So if it's internet-based traffic, it will still get challenged. We only allow specific access to specific areas of our network via the VPN. So even then, if like, for instance, access to our Citrix environment, if you're on VPN, you won't get MFA'd, but if you're over the internet, you will. I feel like the one-time passcodes are becoming more standard, or using like an authenticator app where it's approve deny. I feel like those are becoming much more standard. Like Microsoft Authenticator app has the one-time passcode option. For people that don't want to use their personal devices, we actually have the tokens, the hardware tokens, as well. But yeah, one-time passcode or approve deny seems to be, at least in my experience, the standard.